Hi, you guys, and thank you for watching my channel. Okay, so if you've seen the fucking hit and run video, this happened literally a couple months after that. And if you saw the title, I know why you're here. So let me just start with how the day was for me. On this particular day, I was off work and I did not feel like waking up early. So I was like, yeah, you can. He asked me if he could drive himself to work in my car. And I was like, yeah, you can go ahead and drive yourself to work. It's cool because I'm not getting up. And so he drives himself to work and he's at work having a good old time or whatever. And he didn't call me during his break. He didn't text me to check on me. It was just weird. It was very much weird. He was very distant and my calls and texts weren't being answered that day at all. So I took it as maybe work was eventful or it was a lot or it was stressful, whatever. And I didn't really feed too much into it. He gets home, I'm cooking dinner because that's the kind of woman I was. Past tense. And I'm cooking his favorites, which was steak. And I put pineapple on top of my steak. And I was making some homemade mashed potatoes and stuff. So I was just, throwing down like my baby's gonna eat good when he come home. And of course my nephew was coming over for dinner. So, you know. So yeah. And we started talking and he was just like being overly affectionate, over lovey-dovey, and normally he only does that when he does something fucked up. So it had me scared. Okay, he was trying to kiss me and I was like backing up because it was like, oh, you're beautiful, you're lovely, and you should feel like your man does that every day because he wants to make you feel good about yourself. But for him, it's certain ways he would do it where it's weird, and certain ways he would do it where I could tell that something was up, and that was the vibe he was giving. So as he's trying to kiss me, I'm like jerking back because, baby, at this point, you's a hoe. You're for the community, you're for the highway, you're for the streets. I don't know if you coming back with hepatitis, F1N1, or what, but baby, I don't want it. So I'm backing up. He was like, oh, why you acting that way? Why you being distant? Why you being funny? I'm like, I've been texting you all day. You didn't answer none of my texts, and then you come through the door 3 hours late for work acting weird. And normally when he works overtime, he'll text me and be like, I'm working overtime. Because obviously, if I take care of my grandparents and you have the car, I can't actually go check on them. I can't take them no food. I can't take them to go grocery shopping or to their doctor's appointments if you're working overtime. So he would always let me know in advance to make sure he asked if it's cool. So it was weird. And I'm like, you're home 3 hours late, right? And he was like, oh, you're only saying that because I'm driving your car. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly why I'm saying that, because you're driving my car. And normally you let me know because you know I have other stuff to do. I was like, shoot, I wasn't even able to go take my mom to get her groceries. And you knew I had to do that. So we ended up getting into a little argument. I guess I kind of sparked it because I could have just communicated, hey, but it was just so weird to me. Like, it was weird. Him knowing he's 3 hours late, not coming through and apologizing for it. He's all in my face giving me these buttery ass, fake ass, bougie ass, bullshit ass compliments. I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? Is this another shit show again today? Another shit show? Circus? I'm confused. So at that point, we got into an argument. He brings up the car. And I'm like, you don't even pay for it. You barely be one to put gas in it. In fact, I can hardly get you to pay gas in it, and you're the only person that drives it. And being honest, I think my family kind of noticed that little bit of stuff because they were like, how are you struggling if you got a whole man? You know what I'm saying? So I think that's why they really didn't like him. But yeah. So we ended up getting into it. And after we got into an argument, I'm just like going my own way in the living room, reading my books. He comes in talking to me, trying to cuddle, whatever. He still smells like work or whatever, but he smelled a little weird. Like, he smelled off. Like, it smelled like his pH was off like a bitch. So I wasn't really feeling him in my face. I was like, you smell like bounce that ass. And he knows what the fuck that means. He was like, how you gonna accuse me of smelling like bounce that ass? I was like, you smell like bounce that ass. You need to go take a shower. The fuck? And so I ended up going into the room, finishing my book. He comes in with his plate of food, and he's trying to be lovey-dovey. He's trying to kiss. He's trying to get some sex. And I'm like, if you don't get the fuck off me if I throw up. Like, that's how I felt. So, anyways, moving forward, 2 years later. Me and him are on the phone, and he's confessing about all the stuff he's done wrong. And I'm not gonna name everything because everything has a vital story in his chronicles. And he was like, "You remember that night we got into that argument when you made my favorite and I came home late from work and you said I was cheating on you?" I was like, "Yeah, of course I remember it." Ended up coming up in a couple of arguments because I felt like you was lying. And I always been able to tell when somebody's lying in my face. Like, so yeah, he was like, "Oh well, I actually was cheating on you. You didn't deserve it. I apologize." He was like, "It wasn't nothing too bad. I let a girl give me head in your car." Now, do I really believe he got 3 hours worth of head? No. And I was like, it's cool because after a while, every time I looked at you, you just looked like an STD to me, anyways. And he really did. Like, it got to the point where I'd be so disgusted if he want to have sex because all I could think about is him being a walking STD, y'all. Being hepatitis on wheels. He was fucking gingivitis. Like, that's all I thought. H1N1. Swine flu. Yeah. So I didn't. He was like, "Oh, you not mad?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm not mad. We've been broken up for about a year now. I don't give a fuck." I knew he was cheating. And he was like, "Was you mad then?" I was like, "Yeah, but I wanted you to help out. I wanted it." I was like, "Honestly, I stayed for so long because I wanted it to feel like I got to a point where it was worth it, you know? I wanted to get to a point where it felt like all the stuff I gave was reciprocated." He was like, "I did a lot for you. Remember that one time I paid your insurance?" I was like, "Yeah, I remember that one time you gave me $25 after cussing me out for 3 hours because I asked you to pay the insurance because you was the only one that drove the car for 3 months. Yeah, I remember that. I remember how hard it was to get that $25 out of you. I remember you not wanting to help buy groceries. I remember you never paying a light bill. I remember you never paying a water bill. I remember you never paying rent. I remember you barely taking me out on dates. I remember us constantly going 50-50 on dates, or I would take you out and treat you." And I was like, and I remember the looks I got from the people that knew about our relationship and how shitty you were and how stupid and embarrassed I would feel because they're looking at me like I'm a goddamn dumbass because I was a goddamn dumbass. I was like, so I'm not mad you cheated. Like, the relationship itself was honestly embarrassing as hell. I can't really be mad that you cheated because I should have never been in a relationship in the first place. Yeah, that sparked our first major argument. Okay, it sparked our first major argument. And I'm gonna go ahead and tell y'all what the argument was. So we're gonna go ahead and lead up to that. What was that argument? Oh, we're not gonna lead up to that because that's gonna be its own part in the chronicles, and I ain't ready to talk. I ain't ready to talk about that. But yeah, so he was mad at me for not being mad that he was giving head in my car, and I'm not mad because I know that you're still lying and that you did more than give head because the car smelled a little. Like I said, it smelled like bounce that ass. You smell like bounce that ass. Your dick smelled like bounce that ass. It was pure bounce that ass energy.